I just got a new piece of equipment in the mail, and it is called the SwitchPod. It is a tripod slash selfie stick made especially for vloggers. And we're gonna see how it compares to a regular selfie stick, as well as a handheld gimbal like a DJI Osmo Mobile 2. So let's see how this sucker works. Welcome back. I'm Karin Carr with YouTube for Agents, where I teach real estate agents how to get more business by dominating their local markets for free by making YouTube videos. Today we're talking about the SwitchPod. The SwitchPod apparently is the brainchild of Pat Flynn. I'm going to link to him down below, but I'm sure you know who he is. He's a huge podcaster. And the story goes that he was at Vid Summit in 2017, watching all of these people walking around trying to vlog with their gear and all the stuff that they were holding. And he and his videographer apparently looked at each other and said, there's got to be a better way to do this. So they actually came up with a prototype and invented this product, launched it on Kickstarter, and apparently it's been a huge success. I will say that an agent from my office, Philip Randolph, and I were downtown a couple of weeks ago. We were vlogging as we were looking for places to hold an upcoming event. That's cool. That is really cool.
And then we got the degree.
There's this. And I had my sad little $12 selfie stick, and he had this baby, and man, did I have some serious gear envy. So I went and ordered it off of Amazon.com, and now we're going to check it out and see if it really does work. So without further ado, let's get to unboxing. Hermetically sealed for your protection. It's not only child-proof, apparently it's adult-proof too. Okay, cool. Made by creators for creators. That's kind of cool. I love it when they invent things based on sheer necessity, because then we know that it actually has a chance of doing what it is that we want it to do, because they invented it specifically for that purpose. So first things first, I really like it's kind of heavy. It's made out of metal and it's got some weight to it, so it doesn't feel like it's going to fall over the minute you start, using this thing. It's not too heavy, so if I hold it out like this, I don't feel as though, my arm's gonna fall asleep or anything. It's got the little holes down here because apparently you can stick your fingers through it somehow. So I'll have to play with that and figure out how exactly that works. And then what I've seen everybody do is they go like that and they just flip it. So you're holding this thing, you're walking around, you've got your phone or your camera on top of it. And then when you're ready to set it down, ta-da! We just set it down without having to use another hand, which is very cool. Now, it does not come with an adapter for your phone, which is kind of a bummer. You did have to buy that separately. This is the one that I bought. It does not come with the SwitchPod. It's not the same manufacturer, but it was very highly rated on Amazon, and that's what a lot of people said to get. So I did. I got this one simply because we need to have an adapter if you're going to be using this with a phone. If you're going to use it with your DSLR, it's got the threads. You're just going to screw it straight into the bottom of your camera. But since I plan to use this with my phone quite a bit, I bought this little adapter. There we go. So now that it has this attachment on it, you flip up the little switch to open and close it. We're going to put your phone in, and then when you want to close it up, you snap this thing and now it's good and secure. So if you were going to be vlogging, you would be able to hold it like this. It's right out in front of you. It's basically a selfie stick, but because of the curve, the way that it's shaped, it's farther away from you as you're vlogging. Instead of completely vertical, it kind of goes away from you like this, so you don't feel like your arm has to be fully extended the entire time that you are vlogging. Then when you get to a place where you want to set it down, again, we can just try to flip it like that or use two hands. That works too. So the secret to flipping this open is you really have to be holding on to the outside one and then go like that. Because if you're holding all three of them together and then you try to let go, you can't really flip it open without dropping the entire thing. So you kind of have to take your hand off of it, grab the outside one, and then flip it open. If you really need to do it one-handed. Otherwise, you just walk over to the table and you do that. And just set it down on the tabletop. And now we have a tripod, so we can be vlogging but talking directly to the camera, and it's completely secure. So on the box it says the finger grooves make it easy to hold. And I will tell you, I was trying to stick my fingers in these holes. I'm like, I don't think that's easy. That's not really helping me. So my husband kindly pointed out that they were talking about these on the back. So the ridges on the back are what you're designed to hold on to, and it makes it easy to grab onto, not a big deal. So if you're a real estate agent, and let's say you go to a neighborhood and you're doing a tour of the neighborhood, you could take this little contraption to the front where the big sign of the neighborhood is and say, hey everyone, welcome today to Savannah Quarters. Today we're going to take a tour of this gorgeous neighborhood. Let's go check it out. And you're holding this little deal. If you do have an external microphone, it will work with this setup as well. I'm going to show you how it works with a camera and a microphone, and maybe even a light as well. We'll see how much gear we can get on this thing. Now I'm not gonna lie, it is not lightweight. It definitely has some heft to it. So I don't think I'd wanna be doing this for 20 minutes straight. But if you're just gonna take a shot and then stop recording and put it down, then you give your arm a rest and then you go on to your next shot. And then if you set it down on the tripod part, you got a little tripod wherever you go and it doesn't take up any room in the back of your car. So this is what I was using a lot of the time prior to getting the SwitchPod. If I just needed a little tabletop tripod or a selfie to carry around for me. I don't do a lot of vlogging in public. It's not really my thing, but when I do, this was what I would bring. And you know these legs, like they're super flexible, and the idea is that you could like wrap it around a pole if you had to. It's got the little mount here to put your phone in it. And it's very inexpensive, it's very easy to carry around, it doesn't weigh very much. It's not super easy to hold because of the legs. You gotta straighten them and smush them all together and then hold it like this. And again, because it doesn't have that curve, you really feel like your arm has to be fully extended like this in order to not have it be an extreme close-up. And we are now in week 3 of the coronavirus lockdown. I have not done my hair in a while. We don't need an extreme close-up where everybody's getting a good look at my roots right now. So that's as far as my arm can go, and I have very long arms, and it's not all that far away. So if I were holding the regular selfie stick, my arm would be about like this, but because I have the SwitchPod, it's much farther away. I'm not doing this extreme close-up. It's about a 6-inch difference, and yes, 6 inches does make a difference. And so you don't have to extend your arm nearly as far in order to get the camera farther away from your face. Now this is a gimbal. This is a stabilizer. This is the DJI Osmo Mobile 2. And the idea is that it is a selfie stick, but it stabilizes the footage. So as you're walking, it's not bouncing like crazy. It smooths out the footage so that as you're walking and talking, it's not making the viewer seasick because it's shaking all over the place. Now this is a pretty high-tech piece of equipment. You have to put your phone in it the right way, you have to balance it, you have to calibrate it, you have to do all of these things. When I bought this, it was around $120, so it's not crazy expensive, and it works extremely well if you do a lot of walking and talking. But if you're mostly going to be using it for standing still and vlogging or setting it on the table and using it as a tripod, the SwitchPod is a great alternative in my opinion. But let's put it to the test. Let's go take some walking footage and we'll see the difference with the SwitchPod and the Osmo Mobile 2. They are all roughly the same height. The Osmo is a little bit shorter, but like 2 inches shorter. It's not a huge difference. This one is definitely very stable. This one is very stable if you have the little base. But if you don't have the base and you set it down like that, most of the time it'll stay up, but it makes me nervous because if this falls over, this is heavy and it's going to get banged up and it's going to damage your camera, your phone as well, and we don't want that. So you really have to have this little base in order to make it stand up all on its own. So let's talk about price points. This is obviously the least expensive. You can get one of these on Amazon from any number of companies, from somewhere in the $10 to $25 range, depending on the manufacturer. It is nice that you can use it like a tripod, or you can take the legs and wrap them around something. So if there were a pole, if there was a tree branch and you wanted to wrap it around the tree branch and just stand there talking to the camera while you're outside, you can do that. So you do get a lot of flexibility with this. The downside is it's not incredibly stable. It's not super well made. It's a little bit more difficult to hold because you've got these 3 legs that you're trying to smush together. But the bonus is it's super cheap. Then we've got the SwitchPod, which is in the middle. This was $99. I did have to buy this attachment extra. These are probably $10 to $20, or you can buy a ball head. If you were going to put your camera on top and you wanted to be able to tilt it back and forth, they do have a ball head adapter from SwitchPod. I don't have it, but you could buy that, put it on top, and now you'll be able to tilt your phone or your camera with the ball head attachment, but that's an option that you don't have to buy. And then we've got the DJI Osmo Mobile 2, around 120 bucks-ish. You can buy some optional attachments and a carrying case and all that kind of stuff. But this is really awesome if you're going to be walking while you are speaking to the camera, because it really does stabilize the footage so that it's not so bouncy. So that's my review of the SwitchPod. In a nutshell, if you have the funds, I highly recommend this thing. If money is tight, this will do, but eventually you're going to want to upgrade to something a little bit more stable that feels a little heavier in your hand, better made, easier to use. It's a great piece of equipment. It's not dirt cheap, but it works extremely well. But if you are going to be walking and talking as you're filming, a gimbal is still the way to go. And I will link all 3 of these things that I have down in the description box below in case you want to head on over to Amazon and check them out. Are you leaning toward getting the gimbal? If so, I did a whole video right here about how to shoot a listing tour using a gimbal and your smartphone, and you should definitely check that one out next.